Soon after, Richard and Jasmine joined Princess Nysa for lunch. "The food is delicious, isn't it?" the princess asked as she cut into her steak. "Yes, it is," Richard replied politely. Jasmine, however, sat quietly, her mind elsewhere. "Lady Jasmine, you don't look well. Are you ill?" Princess Nysa asked suddenly. Her words made Jasmine flinch, dragging her back from her wandering thoughts. "Pardon? And not at all. There's no need to worry, Your Highness," Jasmine answered quickly. "Are you sure? You haven't even touched your food," the princess observed. "Oh, I'm just not very hungry because I'm a bit tired," Jasmine replied softly. Richard remained quiet, eating his meal in silence. Is that so?" Princess Nysa mused, before turning her gaze toward Richard. "Lady Jasmine has no appetite due to exhaustion, but you seem to be doing just fine, Duke Ion." "Why are you bringing me into this?" Richard asked calmly. "Just because," she replied playfully, swirling her wineglass. "I'm very healthy, but I appreciate your concern, Your Highness," Jasmine added, though her voice carried a trace of tension. "Well, that's a relief. But you should still eat up. If you get sick, I'd be too ashamed to face Grand Duke and Duchess Riovani," Princess Nysa teased lightly. Jasmine gave a nervous chuckle. Her thoughts drifted briefly to the private moment she had shared with Richard before this lunch. "My parents couldn't even imagine how well I'm doing right now," she thought, forcing another laugh, though it came out tense. "I must be out of my mind. We've been stuck together for the past 3 days. It's not like I'm some beast." Richard's voice cut through her thoughts. Jasmine blinked, confused for a moment until she felt his shoe brush against her dress under the table. Her eyes widened. His leg pressed slightly, raising the fabric of her dress. "Huh? Is he crazy? What is he doing?" She panicked, her face flushing instantly. "We're in front of the Crown Princess. What if we get caught?" Richard, however, remained perfectly composed, eating his food as though nothing unusual had happened. Princess Nysa, noticing Jasmine's sudden flush, narrowed her eyes slightly. Something must have happened between these two. Interesting, she thought as she swirled her wine. "To tell you the truth, Lady Jasmine," the princess began with a smile. "Yes?" Jasmine replied a little too quickly, startled. "I was going to ask if you'd like to go hunting after our meal." But Nysa paused midway when she caught Richard glaring at her, his sharp gaze fixed as he wiped his mouth. "Quit glaring at me," she thought with mild annoyance. "I think it'd be better to leave that for tomorrow," she said instead, shifting her gaze toward the window. "It looks like there's going to be a rain shower." "Huh?" Jasmine murmured, unsure. The next day, they did go hunting. A loud bang echoed through the forest, the sound of a gunshot. "It's a hit! You've hit the target," one of the men shouted, waving a white flag over the kill. From her horse, Princess Nysa lifted her binoculars and smiled. "Excellent shot. I see you're still a talented hunter, Richard." Holding his gun calmly, Richard replied. "Thank you." "It looks like things are going well with Lady Jasmine," Nysa teased, watching him closely. "You've been doing this since yesterday. Stop trying to get me to talk," Richard said firmly. "What am I doing?" "Don't accuse the innocent, Duke Aeon," she replied, feigning offense. "Innocent? Do you think I don't know you by now?" Richard asked, unbothered. Her lips curved into a small laugh. "You really don't have a single cute bone in your body, Richard, but you seem to be in a good mood." "Is that so?" he asked casually as they rode together. "Yes. Haven't you noticed? You're in a better mood than usual, Richard Ion," she said gently. Just then, a ray of sunlight broke through the clouds, illuminating Richard's face. His thoughts drifted back to earlier that morning, the quiet moments he shared with Jasmine in his bedroom. They had been lying in bed together, still wrapped in each other's warmth. "The air feels so refreshing, Richard. I think it'll be a good day to go hunting," Jasmine said softly, still nestled against him. "Actually, I don't think yesterday was that bad either," she added in a sleepy voice. "I can't tell what Her Highness is thinking," Richard had murmured. "That's enough sleep talking. You should get some more rest," Jasmine replied drowsily as her eyes closed again. "Okay." Richard answered quietly. Remembering the moment brought a faint smile to his lips. "Richard," Princess Nysa called, breaking his reverie. "Yes, Your Highness?" he replied, guiding his horse toward her as she brought hers to a halt. "Whoa," she steadied her horse before speaking again. Her tone grew serious. As you may already know, House Riovani is important to me. Is that because of Sir Jonathan? Richard asked. You could say that, but it's more than that. I'm worried about my successor, she said calmly, her eyes steady as she spoke. The story begins with the love life of Crown Princess Gillian, a tale widely known among nobles. Gillian never made efforts to stop men from leaving her, nor did she prevent others from approaching her. She allowed such things to happen freely. One day, she gently pressed her finger against the lips of one of her lovers and spoke calmly. Enough. From now on, please refrain from such behavior, she said, her composure unshaken despite the uneasiness in his expression. I cannot make my fiancé sad, can I? So please, be careful. Her words startled all her lovers, who called out in unison, Your Highness? They looked at her in disbelief as she turned toward the door. Farewell. Then, she told them before leaving. It was hard to believe that Gillian, who had always been surrounded by many men, now only had eyes for one person, engaging in what seemed to be a pure and noble relationship. Many thought she had lost her senses, but as Princess Nysa later explained to Duke Richard, Gillian had simply found her soulmate. Standing side by side on the terrace, leaning against the railing, Nysa spoke. It's surprising, isn't it? She's never cared for anything but power. Yet now she has chosen someone from such a humble family. Richard gave his thoughts. As a man, I can tell Sir Jonathan is a good person. I know that as well, Nysa replied, resting her chin in her hand. But His Majesty does not approve of him. And then there's the matter of succession. Nobles place enormous importance on bloodlines. During Gillian's reign, there may be no problem. But what about future generations? The conversation lingered, and even later, as they stood under a tree while their horses grazed nearby, Gillian confided in Richard. I have no particular interest in having a successor. It wouldn't be such a bad idea if Nysa were next in line instead of my own child, who would be seen as inferior due to his father's low birth. But what worries me most is Jonathan might be harmed. Richard was taken aback by her words. She is concerned about a man who has no stake in the crown? How strange, he thought to himself. Aloud, he cautioned, to question or deliberate on the origins of the imperial family borders on treason. No one would dare. Gillian only smiled. I was simply wondering what might happen. Richard observed her closely. Though she had always seemed like someone with a heart of ice, here she was, worrying over a possibility that had not even occurred yet. Is this what love truly is? He thought. Or is it simply the desire to protect someone? Gillian then added, That is why House Riovani matters to me. Meanwhile, Princess Nysa turned to Richard with curiosity. Why the long face? I pretended not to notice what was going on between you two so you could grow closer to her. Did she already reject you? No, Richard answered tensely. Still, things seemed strained at yesterday's meal. I never imagined someone as insensitive as you could act that way. If you're not merely toying with her, be careful. Learn how to take things slowly, she advised, giving a small smile as she mounted her horse. I know that, but... Richard began, only to stop mid-sentence when he noticed someone approaching. It was Lady Jasmine, leading her horse gently by its strap. Her face was flushed as she called out, Richard! He looked at her, startled. Jasmine. Not long after, the hunting resumed. The sound of gunshots echoed in the distance. It's a hit! Someone shouted. Jasmine stood quietly, watching the nobles gathered in the open field, enjoying the hunt. Duke Ion is in excellent form today, one man remarked. Her Highness will keep the deer, won't she? A woman asked. I suppose so. After all, he has neither a lover nor a fiancé, another noble replied. Those words struck Jasmine deeply. Her thoughts whirled as she mounted her horse. So many things are running through my head, she thought. The guests turned to glance at her, and their silent stares unsettled her. Why are they looking at me? It makes me uncomfortable. What are they thinking? Unable to bear it, she urged her horse forward. I can't take this. I'd better go somewhere else, she decided, riding away quickly. Back at the table, the conversation among the nobles took a different turn. Is she gone? One woman asked. Yes, I've been dying to speak about them, a man replied eagerly. You saw it too, didn't you? Saw what? The lady asked, hiding her expression behind her fan. I saw Duke Ion and Lady Jasmine go into a room together, another man declared, his arms folded. I knew it, the first man said cheerfully. I'm glad I wasn't the only one. But isn't it odd? The woman asked, lifting her teacup delicately. Yes, the second man agreed. Rumor has it they quarreled at a recent party, and talks of marriage between them fell apart. Some even say Lady Jasmine gave up on him and started seeing someone else. Perhaps we were mistaken. The woman laughed softly behind her fan. No one truly knows the affairs between a man and a woman but themselves. Still, once love takes root, it is impossible to hide. Even the coldest heart cannot suppress its warmth. The man beside her mused aloud. I do believe her long-held feelings for Duke Ion won't fade so easily. But the woman shook her head. No, I wasn't speaking of Lady Jasmine. In most cases, the one who falls in love later becomes far more passionate. With that remark, the whispers among the nobles deepened, leaving the question of hidden feelings and loyalties unresolved. Earlier that day, as Jasmine rode her horse, her thoughts refused to settle. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't push them away. Honestly, isn't it harder not to think about it? She told herself. After all, I ended up sleeping with the man I've been in love with for so long, and it seemed like he enjoyed it too. Her face grew warm as she recalled those moments. Richard, who always seemed so cold and composed, had been different with her. He had taken her leg in his hands, gently tracing it with his fingers as he studied her. Jasmine, how can even your feet be so soft? He had said, rubbing it lightly against his cheek with an amused smile. Her face flushed crimson at the memory. What are you saying? And my feet are dirty! She had protested, clutching the blanket tightly in embarrassment. But Richard only looked at her with that unshakable confidence. What are you talking about? There isn't a single dirty spot on your body. If there is, show me, Jasmine. I'll clean it for you myself. His words lingered in her heart. He had leaned over her, then, their eyes locking, his expression completely relaxed. He even pressed soft kisses against her toes as he smiled, a gesture so intimate that Jasmine's chest tightened. He isn't someone who knows how to put up a pretense, she thought now, gripping her horse's saddle firmly as the animal walked. That means he must really like me, right? Her heart fluttered as she remembered the little things he had done for her. He had helped her bathe, dried her, even fed her, and carefully carried her back to bed without allowing her to lift a finger. How could this be? She asked herself. I like Richard so much. I've always had feelings for him, but in these past few days, those feelings have only grown deeper. She bowed her head, cheeks flushed red. It's only natural, she thought. After we made love, I listened to his gentle whispers. Every night, I fell asleep in his arms, and every morning I woke up next to him. We keep sharing the same bed, so I know Richard must like me. But does he like me as much as I like him? I don't know. Her horse slowed, and Jasmine dismounted, her expression clouded with doubt. Maybe he only likes my body. After all, his attitude changed only after we slept together. But then she recalled the way he had held her close and whispered so sincerely, Jasmine, you're so adorable. I've never met anyone as brave and dazzling as you. Her face burned again. I swear, on all the years I've loved Richard, that he likes me too. Even if part of it is just desire, he still cares for me. That's not such a bad thing. But the problem is my own greed. She stroked her horse's snout affectionately, speaking out loud to it as if to ease her heart. It's not enough for me to have just his body. I want his heart, his soul. I want all of him. Her mind drifted to high society's ways. She had seen it happen often. People who acted inseparable after just one night together, only for their passion to fade and their affections to wander to others. I don't want that with Richard. I don't want something fleeting. I want something lasting. She pulled gently at her horse's reins. Let's go, she murmured, though her thoughts continued to race. I know my greed is to blame, she admitted inwardly, but I can't bring myself to let go of his affection. If my feelings were still one-sided, I wouldn't feel so frightened. But now, Richard is partly responsible too. He made me feel this way. Since this isn't a one-sided love anymore, doesn't that mean we're both? Her thoughts broke off when she spotted him ahead. She felt her pulse quicken. Richard, she called, her cheeks hot. Richard turned, his calm voice carrying her name. Jasmine. Princess Nysa, who had been with him, gave a knowing smile before riding ahead, leaving the two of them alone. Jasmine and Richard settled onto a large rock nearby, the silence between them heavy. She stole quick glances at him, her heart unsteady. I didn't mean to run into him like this, she thought nervously. Richard looked at her with a gentle smile, and she almost lost herself in his gaze. No, don't fall for his good looks, Jasmine, she scolded herself inwardly, clutching her head as a faint ache pressed against her temples. I can't keep going on like this. I need to ask him how he really feels about me. Jasmine? Richard's voice drew her back. Yes? She stammered. Are you all right? You seem to have a lot on your mind, he asked with quiet concern. I'm fine. Really, it's just, She fumbled for words, forcing a smile. Richard reached out, gently holding her face in his hand. You came all this way by yourself. That doesn't seem like nothing. At least I don't believe that, Jasmine. Her breath caught. He's so sweet, so attentive. How am I supposed to speak when he treats me like this? She placed her hand over his. To change the subject, she asked softly, more importantly, how did the hunt go? Did you catch much? I heard lots of noise. He shook his head lightly. Not really. I couldn't catch what I wanted to give you. Her eyes softened. And what grand thing were you planning to give me? Richard hesitated, his tone almost shy. I'm not sure. I was thinking, maybe a rabbit. A rabbit, she repeated, puzzled. Yes, a rabbit, he said quickly, before pulling her closer in one swift motion. Jasmine froze, caught off guard, their eyes locking as his face flushed. His words came out low but clear. Because you remind me of one. You're like a small white rabbit, so delicate and cute. And before she could reply, his lips met hers in a tender kiss. Because you remind me of one. You look like a small and cute white rabbit. Duke, Richard said, his cheeks faintly flushed as he leaned closer. Jasmine's face burned in embarrassment. What if someone sees us? She asked softly, her voice betraying both worry and the struggle to resist him. Let them, Richard answered without hesitation. She was stunned. He doesn't care if people see them. She thought he hated scandals and gossip more than anyone else. Yet here he was, speaking so boldly. How can this man be so reckless? She wondered as their lips met. The kiss was brief but filled with intensity. When they pulled away, Richard's voice lowered as he called her name, Jasmine. Yes? She replied shyly, her cheeks still hot from the kiss. I think you have something else on your mind. Are you worried about something? He asked, gently cupping her cheeks. Richard, he's very perceptive, Jasmine thought, gazing at him. But what would be the use of telling him? He wouldn't understand the anxious ache of wanting someone to love you more than you love them. Still, she whispered, that's because of you. Richard blinked, speechless. Because of me? She gathered her courage, rising from the rock she had been seated on. Duke Richard Ion, there is nothing else worth paying attention to in my bright and glorious life, other than you. Her words left him stunned. I'm happy to hear that, but I'm not sure what you're saying. Did I do something wrong? He asked, suddenly tense. He looked so flustered, Jasmine thought, her own cheeks warming as she looked at him. She rubbed her nose awkwardly before saying, Well, we don't know each other that well. Richard shook his head. No, I know much about you. These past few days, I've thought about nothing else but you. Her face grew redder. So what I mean is, she faltered, covering her face with her hands. I like everything we do together, but all we ever do is that, she admitted shyly. Richard studied her quietly, then his expression softened. I understand what you're saying now. He rose swiftly to his feet. You do? Jasmine asked hesitantly, her voice almost a whisper. It seems to me you see me as a beast who only craves carnal pleasures. And honestly, I think you're right. We may have been indulging too much, he admitted, stepping closer. She's right, he thought. Jasmine is far too stimulating. Every time I look at her, my first thought is to touch her rather than listen. He shut his eyes for a moment, troubled. Have I ever felt this way before? Not even with Lily. Not even then. His mind drifted back to her words from before. You may have fooled everyone, but I know the truth, Richard Ion. You are not perfect. Is it because she has seen my true self? He wondered. Taking her hand gently, he whispered, Jasmine? Yes? She stuttered, startled by his sudden sincerity. I'm sorry for not being able to control myself, but it's because I really enjoy sleeping with you, he said, kissing her hand tenderly. Jasmine froze, her face turning crimson. What are you saying, Richard? She asked in shock. He corrected himself. We need to talk more. I realize now we might be moving too fast. She looked at him earnestly. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. I just think it would be nice if we could be more honest with each other. And I don't mean just being honest with our bodies. She turned slightly, glancing back at him. Do you understand? I think so, he replied calmly, though his eyes showed deep thought. Watching him, Jasmine sighed inwardly. He's taking this so seriously. But maybe that's not such a bad thing. We still have a long way to go. Soon, the pair returned to where the nobles were gathered. A large deer was tied before them, drawing everyone's attention. My goodness! This is the biggest deer anyone has caught today, exclaimed the noblewoman Jasmine had spoken to earlier, clearly impressed. How surprising! But I expect nothing less from Duke Aeon, she continued. Even though it wasn't a competition, His Grace is still today's winner. Her gaze turned to Jasmine. Anyway, the fact that he placed the deer in front of you, surely that means something. Jasmine flinched. Huh? What are you saying? She asked, bewildered. At that moment, Duke Richard's voice carried clearly. Lady Jasmine, he said, drawing her attention as he lowered himself on one knee before her. Her eyes widened in shock. I would like to offer the deer I caught today to the most beautiful woman here, Richard declared. Flustered, Jasmine extended her hand, and he kissed it with reverence. Thank you, she murmured softly, her face still burning. What are you doing, Richard? I wasn't asking for you to make such a big fuss over me, she whispered, confused. Didn't you want me to make my feelings for you clear? This is my answer, Jasmine, Richard said firmly as he rose to his feet. The nobles around them erupted in whispers, their eyes wide in shock. His Grace has presented the gentleman's greeting. To Lady Jasmine! One noble exclaimed in disbelief, as they all watched Richard lift Jasmine's hand and place it solemnly against his head. The gentleman's greeting was carried out with the most dignified and proper manner a man could extend to a lady. His movements were composed, elegant, and full of meaning. The surrounding nobles who were quietly observing were left utterly speechless at the sight. Richard, why are you going this far? Jasmine whispered, her face completely flushed with embarrassment. Richard did not falter. I know you said we were moving too quickly, but I'm an impatient man, he replied, lifting her hand and pressing a gentle kiss against without paying any mind to the whispers rippling around them. Her voice trembled as she asked, Why are you in such a hurry? I'm not sure, he admitted softly. Just the sight of you makes me greedy and impatient. I want to do everything I can to express my feelings for you. Like you said, perhaps there are still many things we don't know about each other. His tone grew firmer as he clenched his fist, his conviction clear. But we can start solving that problem right now. Don't you agree? Well, Jasmine stuttered, overwhelmed by his straightforwardness. If we want to truly get to know each other better, I thought it would be best to make things official, Richard continued, carefully reaching for her hand again. Wouldn't it be better to spend time together without worrying about what others think? His gaze was fixed solely on her, steady and unwavering. Jasmine's face turned even redder as she looked away, her body tense with hesitation. All right, she murmured slowly. Richard flinched inwardly at her reluctant tone, biting his lower lip as doubt flickered in his mind. Why does she look so unsure? Meanwhile, Jasmine exhaled in frustration, turning her gaze aside. Did Richard really understand anything I was trying to say? She wondered. It was then that she noticed the growing whispers among the nobles surrounding them. The lady she had seen earlier was staring with wide, glistening eyes, and even Princess Nysa's attention was fixed squarely on them. Oh no, this is too much. We've drawn too much attention, Jasmine thought, her face burning red with embarrassment. Hold that thought, Richard, she said quickly, trying to salvage the situation. Huh, he asked, looking confused by her sudden change in tone. Jasmine leaned closer, lowering her voice. People are staring at us, so let's go for a walk, okay? She whispered urgently. Richard simply looked at her in silence, not offering an immediate reply. Why aren't you saying anything? Richard, she whispered again, impatient for a response. Still nothing. In desperation, she discreetly stepped on his foot. That jolted him back. Richard! She called softly yet firmly. All right, fine. Let's go, he finally answered, turning away with an awkward gesture as he rubbed the back of his neck. I'm in trouble. I almost kissed her just now. This is so frustrating. If we were engaged, it wouldn't be an issue to kiss her. Why Why did I refuse her marriage proposal back then? His thoughts weighed on him heavily as they began walking side by side. Richard suddenly slowed down, halting for a moment as a memory resurfaced. It was his conversation with the princess. It's better to forget something that didn't work out. If you keep this up, it will only make Lily uncomfortable, the princess had told him. I know, so stop talking already, he had retorted defensively. The recollection made him chuckle softly to himself. Holding his head, Richard murmured, I see now. Jasmine turned to him, her brows furrowed in confusion. What's wrong, Richard? She asked, her voice cautious. He looked at her with a gentle smile. His eyes softened. Nothing. Thanks to you, I've forgotten everything, Jasmine. My heart feels surprisingly clear now. Her expression faltered as she searched his face, but before she could reply, Richard's smile lingered, carrying a sincerity she couldn't ignore. The two of them eventually made their way to the stables in secret, away from the curious eyes of the nobles. There, in the quiet and stillness, they shared a tender and romantic moment together. Thank you for watching this episode of our Manhwa recap. We hope you enjoyed diving into the world of this story with us. If you loved the content, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Your support means the world to us and helps us bring you even more amazing manhwa recaps. See you in the next episode.